Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. What's up, everyone? It is Denise. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Today, we are chatting all about the April 19th edition of WWE NXT 2.0. That is back. That is right. We are starting the week here on F4W. As you all know, I am live here 3 times a week, kicking things off on Tuesdays to chat NXT. Tomorrow, I will be here to talk about AEW Dynamite, which is looking to be a pretty gigantic episode considering we have Tony Khan's announcement. We're going to have CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes. We're going to have a coffin match. There's a lot going on. And then on Friday, I will be back to do Smackdown and AEW Rampage. But we got NXT to talk about here today. First and foremost, thank you so much to everybody who's tuning in to the show right now. I appreciate you all for coming in here. On top of that, if this is your first time here, just know that this is a very interactive stream. So if you want to send in your thoughts, you want to send in your comments on the show, you are more than welcome to do so. I will be picking a few of them out throughout the show and getting your thoughts heard on this podcast as well. But now let's get right into it, because I thought today's episode of NXT, it was a mixed bag. And by that, I mean, there were some things that I genuinely did like, some things that I liked and I might have tweaked a little bit, and some things that I absolutely did not like whatsoever. But we'll go through all of those here today. However, I will say this other thing that I did like. I'm going to start off by saying this. I really liked the pace of NXT today. They were moving from segment to segment in a way that was fast, but not so fast that they didn't let things breathe. But they were moving from they would start something off and then we would quickly go into something else. I really liked that. I thought it kept the pace of NXT today feeling just a little bit more lively. And they've been doing that the last couple of weeks, but today it did feel just a tad bit differently. So I was a fan of all of that here today. But let's kick things off, because talking about that fast pace, we started off in an interesting manner today on NXT. So we had Pretty Deadly, who are the brand new NXT Tag Team Champions. Good call, by the way. I think that they are probably like the best thing going right now on NXT 2.0 programming. Pretty Deadly has been, they were literally trending in the top 25 today because people just automatically like them. But anyway, so they come out and they're talking about how they made history, how they beat, several of the, top NXT teams. They came from the NXT UK, and that they're here now and that they're making history and that it was easy for them to do it and this and that. And they're getting over with the people, guys. Like, they are certainly getting over, and that's what's kind of cool to see, because it's acts like Pretty Deadly that are going to give people like more of an interest to actually tune in and watch NXT 2.0. I love Pretty Deadly based on what I've seen from them on this NXT, because you guys know that I hadn't seen their work on NXT UK. So getting to see them so far here on NXT 2.0, I'm loving their entire vibe, their entire presentation. They sell the character. Like, they come out with the great hair. They come out with this very different type of wardrobe, sort of say, and they're very like fashionable fashionistas, and they have like this, I don't even know how to describe their manners in which they do things, but it's getting over. They're bringing charisma, they got personality. I'm on board with Pretty Deadly. Like, hell, I want to be BFFs with Pretty Deadly. Please put me in your group, man. But anyway, so I'm instantly a fan of theirs, liking everything that they're doing here today. So they come out, they're talking about all of this, and we have Drake and Gibson, Grizzled Young Veterans, who I don't think we're calling them Grizzled Young Veterans anymore. If that was like an official thing, I totally missed it, but I don't think we're calling them that anymore. But Drake and Gibson, they come out and they talk about wanting an opportunity for the NXT Tag Team titles. They're quickly attacked by Legado del Fantasma, who come out and jump them. This leads into a match where we're going to talk about in just a second, but Immediately after this, we get into Braun Breaker, who basically comes out. He gets into the ring, and he's looking for Joe Gacy. He's been looking for Gacy for like 2 weeks now. For 2 weeks, he's been trying to get his revenge for what he did to his father. Okay, great. So Joe Gacy pops up on the screen, and he's saying that he's not hard to find and to come find him. And then we just see a bunch of little images of Joe Gacy all over the screens with this maniacal laugh and this and that. And I will tell you that everything that they are doing with Braun Breaker and Joe Gacy is not working for me, guys. This is my least favorite thing on NXT 2.0. This is the one storyline where I'm just like, oh, especially, and we're going to talk more about Braun Breaker and Joe Gacy throughout this entire night. I'm not a fan of this. I really feel it's making Braun Breaker kind of look a little bit dorky because he's supposed to be like this, big tough dude coming in here. He's a badass. He's wrecking havoc. He quickly became NXT champion by defeating Tommaso Ciampa. Then he goes into this program with Dolph Ziggler, and unfortunately, it kind of went downhill for him there. But now he's champion once again, and he's getting the ball rolling once again. But now he's in this program with Joe Gacy, and they're making him look a little bit goofy. I'm not a fan of this program with Joe Gacy, and given the fact that we're coming off of him losing the title from Dolph Ziggler and then winning him back, and then, just the back and forth, I feel like the booking of Braun Breaker, this is like, they need to make sure that he stays a fan favorite, especially with what he's supposed to be doing, right? He doesn't feel to me like a fan favorite in this program with Joe Gacy. And again, we're going to talk about this more because there are different parts that we see more stuff come out in the show in regards to this. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But let's go ahead and see what did you guys think of the opening segments on NXT 2.0 here today. But let's see what people are saying. This is coming from Justin, who says, if Pretty Deadly are trying to be the most obnoxious, annoying team on earth, then they're succeeding big time. Here's the thing, they're supposed to be, I can't perfectly describe their personas, but they're supposed to be I don't know, fabulous or something. I don't know how else to describe it. But they're supposed to be obnoxious, but they're not coming across as obnoxious in the way where you're like, get off my television. They're not coming across like that. They're coming across like, oh, they're like, kind of douchey and a little bit bougie, but they're funny and we're kind of enjoying what they're doing, So they're coming across in a way where it's working, at least for me. So I'm definitely a fan here. Let's see what else we got. This is from Draper Dawn, who says, I just don't believe Grizzled Young Veterans is going to get where they need to in NXT. Those who's backed them since day one just keep getting their heart broken. Yeah, unfortunately, Grizzled Young Veterans are a team where I kind of feel like there's guys where you're like, okay, we know you're going to go somewhere on the roster, and that's not a shot against them. It's just that that they're not exactly what they seem to be looking for, especially in this new version of NXT 2.0. And this is from Brandon in regards to Braun and Gacy, saying it's a sports entertainment storyline made for the main roster. That's what NXT is supposed to be now. Yep, and you are absolutely right on that. We got a super chat from Heidi Ho, the bot. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho. Big fan here of the show, a huge supporter. Thank you to Heidi Ho, who says, finally getting the Mafia versus Cartel story I've been asking for several months. Hell yeah. We will talk about that in a second since we got further development with Santos Escobar and Tony D'Angelo. So thank you so much to Heidi Ho, the bot. And all right, let's go ahead and get this one in from Cameron, who says, not feeling these Batman-inspired segments, but have no problem with this upcoming match with Joe Gacy. This is a simple one and done. It should be a simple one and done, but the way that they're having Braun Breaker kind of look like a dork when he's going back there and like slowly opening a door, discovering this new room, and it's like, what's going on? What is this? This is so creepy. That's not what the Braun Breaker character should be, at least in my eyes. Like, that's not what I'm not gonna get behind that character, so him coming in, because there's a moment, and I was gonna talk about this later, but there's a moment where he goes backstage and he's looking for Joe Gacy. First he finds the cage, right? The cage that he had his father in. He finds the cage. There's a recording there. Okay, fine. That's not really spooky, but I get it. He's playing mind games with the guy. Okay, cool. Then he goes into a room and he's like, keep in mind, Braun Breaker's a big old dude, okay? He shouldn't be like creeping in, going into a door, trying to figure out what's going on. Like, he ain't no 5-foot girl like me. Like, damn, bro, get in there. Open the damn door and see what's up. But he creeps in there like very slowly and it's like looking and he's like, what the hell? And they have the camera on him for like a very long time. And I'm like, well, what is it? What is it? It's just a bunch of mirrors. Have you never been to a fun house, Braun Breaker? It's just a bunch of mirrors. And then I was expecting like when you walk in and all of a sudden somebody has like a shrine of you, like you see those in the movies or on TV shows where you walk in like the person's obsessed with you and there's all these photos of you and it's so creepy and there's candles and voodoo dolls. Okay, something like that I would have been like, what? Like, no matter who you are, that shit's creepy as hell, right? But it was just a bunch of mirrors. So then he's like, what the hell? Like all shocked and stuff. And Joe Gacy appears from behind and then Braun Breaker does this like weird thing where he like goes like this, like why is he doing this? But he's going like this. And I'm like, what are you doing? Turn around, punch the guy, something. But he's like, oh, it was so weird. Then afterwards, Joe Gacy disappears. Okay, fine. So Joe Gacy disappears. And we're going to talk more about Joe Gacy and Braun Breaker at the end of the show. But that's kind of what we saw in the beginning of the show. All right, we got a super chat from Brandon Rosen who says, the man kidnapped Braun's dad. He should be busting heads and breaking down doors left and right, trying to rip Gacy's head off. This is exactly what I was going off about last week. And I didn't want to come out here and repeat the same rant that I did last week. But this is legit, guys. And I already said it in the last show. I'll say it again. Someone messes with your family members or someone that you love or care about. Like, you ain't going to be like, you're going to be like, I don't give a damn. Like, I'm risking everything. I'm going to kick this guy's ass. Like, I'm not going to be going out to the ring and being like, where's Joe Gacy? Hell no. I'm going to be looking for the guy. And I ain't going to be walking in no doors all like calm, cool, and collected. I'm going to go in there and raise all hell. So anyways, we'll talk more about that in just a second here. All right, this is from Dante NYC who says, yeah, really disappointed they're making Braun look dorky as hell. He should be a destroyer, not getting spooked by mirrors. Exactly, Dante NYC, come host a show with me because that's exactly how I felt about this. Pile Driver Finisher adds the same thing. Braun should be breaking down doors, but they have him breaking reality. It should be. Power Driver Finisher says it's going to be on site. It should be on site. Now that I officially learned that term, Braun Breaker should be like, I mean, he doesn't have to stay on site, but it should be like, I don't know. All right, moving on from this. All right, guys, let's get into Tiffany Stratton versus Sarray. So Tiffany has kind of been like 50-50 books. She's taken some L's to Fallon Henley as she took another one to Ivy Nile, but this is now her second win over Sarray. So like I said, a little bit of both, a mixture here for Tiffany Stratton. This story between these two girls has been going on for a bit now. It started off, about a necklace. So there's only so much interest that I can have when the story starts about a necklace. It started about a necklace. I'm sorry. Like, I love my jewelry. I ain't gonna get in a fight about no necklace. But anyways, so fine, we get into this match. I want to talk about the pros because I think there was a lot of pros in this. And the pros that I want to get at is I am feeling Tiffany Stratton a whole lot. I like Tiffany Stratton. Obviously, she's new and she's, getting things going. She's getting the wheels turning. So I will say this, I'm a fan of Tiffany Stratton and what we've seen so far of her. She has shown she's shown a lot of athleticism in the matches that we've seen from her. So I do feel like down the road when she gets like better and better, I feel like I'm going to be like a bigger fan of Tiffany Stratton. I'm a fan already right now, but as she gets better, I feel like people are going to talk more about her and whatnot. She's got a great look. I think she still has to work more on like the character aspect of it because she's supposed to be like daddy's girl, kind of like super busy. Like think Hillary Banks from like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. She should be a little bit more like Hillary Banks, that sort of vibe. So I do think she could bring that out a little bit more. But in terms of what we're seeing in the ring, I think that's pretty good. The only major difference though is that even though Sarray has this like little girl character, which is like, I would prefer. they kind of gave her like a little girl character, right? But whatever. When Saray is in the ring, she lays it in, and in comparison to what you see Tiffany and Saray bring to the ring, there is a difference. But I do like everything that Saray did bring into this match. But regardless, we did end up seeing Stratton get the win. She needs the win, especially I mean, they both needed the win. I'm not gonna lie. But, and given this, and now this just tells me that the story is going to keep progressing, because at some point, Sarray is going to have to get her revenge for her necklace. I don't know. But Tiffany Stratton, there's a lot of good there in Tiffany Stratton. All right, let's see what people are saying here. We got a super chat from Flamethrower Fluff Salisbury, another supporter here of the show, who says, the only way they can redeem, in regards to Braun Breaker, who says, the only way they can redeem this is if Breaker beats the hell out of Harlan and Gacy at the same time. Yeah, we haven't seen Harlan in a second or two. We didn't see him today. I don't think we saw him last week. Did we see him last week? I'm blanking on if we saw him last week. Yeah, we haven't seen Harlan in like a hot second. I don't think we've seen him since he appeared, with Rick Steiner and Gacy and that whole scene that they did. But I don't think we've seen him since then. But yeah, they need to literally have him kill both guys at the exact same time. Thank you to Flamethrower Fluff for the super chat. And let's see what else we got here. Let's get some comments and see what people are saying about this. This is from Major Blood, who says, I'm very much not impressed with Tiffany Stratton. I don't like her music, and her finisher doesn't leave me impressed. She did, however, take some nice moves from Saray. She's getting there. I think she's getting there. I mean, that's the point of NXT 2.0, right? Like, you're going to see these people develop from scratch. I think we've been seeing her develop, every single week. So we'll see. We'll continue on from here. And let's go ahead. This is from Zeno Hour, who says, I think Saray should have won. They don't have enough credible baby faces in the women's division right now. That's true, too. Yeah, that's definitely true, too. All right, let's continue on from here. All righty. So after this, we have, let's see. After this match, we go into, I already talked about the backstage stuff with Braun Breaker. So immediately after this, we got more of the Braun Breaker stuff, which I already talked about. Then we saw Indian Persia trick Pretty Deadly into a tag team match with Dexter Loomis and Duke Hudson, which we get into later on. But now let's go into Sanga versus Grayson Waller. All right, so I may surprise a couple of you here with my opinion on this. I'm just going to say, I'm kind of a fan of Sanga. Sue me. You know what? I don't know what it was about Sanga today, but I was on freaking board. All right. I know people are probably like, wait, Denise was a fan of Sanga? I don't give a damn. I was a fan of Sanga here tonight. And I'm going to tell you why I was a fan of Sanga. All right. So we essentially see Sanga attack Grayson Waller backstage after Grayson Waller was saying that Sanga was dead weight, etc. Then Grayson Waller quickly runs away. Sanga comes in and they go into the ring and they end up having their match, Grayson Waller versus Sanga. Sanga's just tossing his body back and forth. This is why I was a fan of Sanga here today, okay? I've seen a lot of recent big guys on WWE, and, they go out there and they're supposed to be doing this killer, I'm throwing this guy around and, right? And some of it just doesn't stick. I'm watching it and I'm just okay, whatever. This guy's throwing around this guy. Sure. Thumbs up, right? But Sanga brought some intensity into it. He brought some energy. I like that. If you're going to be a big guy throwing around some smaller guy, I'm going to want some some enthusiasm in there, some energy. And I thought that Sanga brought that. I was like, you know what? His job here is very simple. Be the big scary guy. Cool. We know you're going to take the L here to Grayson Waller, but regardless, you're still supposed to be somewhat impressive as a big guy. So I actually like that he brought some energy into this. I was buying his shit when he was doing it, when he was throwing these guys, when he was throwing Grayson Waller around. I was impressed. So for me, that made me a fan of Sanga. I think if they gave Sanga a little bit of more of a personality, and maybe if they didn't make I hope they don't make him cartoonish. If they don't make him cartoonish, if they literally make him legit a scary big guy, I don't know, give him something. Give him some sort of shtick. Like, just don't have him coming out there and being like Sanga. Like, give him something, but don't make him cartoonish. I think they have something there with him just because of the intensity that he has. I think that they can do something there with Sanga. Like, I'm not expecting him to be NXT champion or anything like that, but they have something there. They have a role for him as a big dude, especially with the enthusiasm that he showed here tonight. So you know what? Thumbs up with Sanga on this one. Grayson Waller gets the win after he hits the insurance policy. All right, let's see what people are saying here. This is a super chat from another friend of the show, Juan Rodarte, who says, I'm so confused with Joe Gacy's character. Literally makes no sense. We need an explanation, NXT. Well, I'm going to give you a really crappy explanation right now. This is my evaluation of Joe Gacy. So Joe Gacy came out and he started off and he was, kind of mocking what people considered like the woke left, right? Like that's what that was supposed to be. It was supposed to be like a mocking thing, right? And so they stuck with that for a minute. Then they went into this like kind of just like this crazy person they kind of steered. Okay, so they started off like that. Then they kind of dropped the left, like the woke left stuff. And then they still kind of stuck around with like the creepy, like, oh, you have to go out and this is a safe space and this and that. They kind of lessened it a little bit more. I don't know how you call that, whatever. So then after that, I thought I understood it, the character. Like, okay, he's just a creepy dude. He's just a little bit psychotic. He's not all there. That's what I thought. But now he has powers too, which I think he always kind of had powers. Because if you remember at the beginning, he was doing like the creepy, like evangelist stuff where he's like doing the hand thing at the TV and being all creepy about that. But now the guy is like, appearing, disappearing, popping into mirrors and disappearing from the mirrors. So now he has more of this like sci-fi-ish character. So he completely morphed into something else. So every single week it's been something different with Joe Gacy. And the reason why I'm having a hard time explaining this character is because I don't fully understand it, because every single week it's something different with Joe Gacy. So that's where we're at. I'm sorry, Juan, for that very terrible explanation of Joe Gacy's character, but that's what we got here. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from this, everybody. Let's see what people are saying here today. Justin Martin says, I LOL to Grayson Waller saying backstage, Ben Franklin, who'd he'd ever beat? Yeah, I actually thought that was kind of funny here. YT says, Gacy is like a hands-on deranged therapist cult leader. Okay, cool. But like, he also has special powers. A cult leader, aren't they just like really good at like brainwashing people? I mean, this guy's appearing and disappearing. We got to give him an extra title there. He's got to be more than just a deranged therapist cult leader guy. All right, let's go ahead and continue on from this here. Let's see. Let's move on from this and let's get into so after Sanga versus Grayson Waller, we get into Cora Jade. As you all know, Cora Jade has been attacked by Natalya. She's been attacked by Natalya. And this is interesting too, because a lot of us weren't expecting to see Natalya come into NXT 2.0, but we talked about the benefits of that when she did come in. And, we know that she's going to be working with the girls. She's going to be doing stuff with them. I actually like the storyline that they're telling with Cora Jade, because Cora Jade is still a very young girl, and her story with her picture of Natty and all of that, and never meet your heroes because they disappoint you. All of that stuff. So she rips up the picture of her and Natty. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really good. But now let's go ahead and get into Roxanne Perez, who you guys all know as Roxy. This girl, by the way, I think just like, you guys already know this. Like, don't even take this from me. We already know this. Like, she is legitimately going to have a super, super bright future, guys. A super bright future. We already know this. She's young, she's talented, and she's already accomplished so much. So good for her. I loved the way that they presented her in this video package. It was so, so good. Okay, so this is probably one of my favorite things that we got here today. So Roxanne, and they start off showing this little girl, right? And she's like playing video games, and I'm like, I know they're promoting someone. I know they're going to debut a new character, but who? For some reason, it didn't click to me that it would be Roxy. Like, it just didn't click. Like, somewhere down the line it did click, but like in the beginning it did not. So I'm watching this and I'm thinking like, okay, this is really cute, but where are we going with this? But then, so she's playing video games. This little girl's playing video games, and she's talking about how her dream is to be a WWE superstar and this and that. And then afterwards, it morphs into Roxanne, which is now her new name here in WWE. And she basically says, like, she's stepping out of the video games and now she's, going into the performance center. Now she's here in NXT. Now she's here in WWE and she's going to make something of herself. So I thought this was really cute. And they promoted that she would be making her in-ring debut next week. But then quickly thereafter, she comes in and she does this interview with Mackenzie Mitchell. And she basically tells her, like, she's doing her interview. She's talking about, being nervous, etc. Toxic Attraction comes on board. And basically they say not to get your hopes up. And why not make your debut this week against Jacy Jane. And Roxanne is like, well, let's see what I can do about it. So at this point, they kind of leave it open-ended. And you still don't know whether or not you're going to see her debut this week or next week. And we'll talk about her in just a second. But we got a super chat from Heidi Ho, the bot, who says, this was my first time seeing Roxy. She's going to be a star for sure. I completely think so. And she's like super young. I think she's like 19, 20. She's 20 now. Jesus Christ. Wow. Yeah. No, she's got like such a bright future ahead of her, and she's so talented at such a young age. Color me jealous. Thank you so much to Heidi Ho, the bot. All right, so we'll talk more about her in just a second. After this, we get a quick match between Legado del Fantasma and Drake and Gibson. Really quick match. Legado del Fantasma picks up the win. Good win for them. This was just to get them a fast win. All right, cool. Let's talk about Wesley. So, I don't know how many people out there don't read wrestling news or go on social media. I don't know how many people don't do that. I feel like sometimes everybody does, but I'm pretty sure there are some people out there that don't read wrestling news or don't go on social media. I don't know who, but I'm sure there's got to be some, right? If you're watching NXT, you're probably confused as hell because you're like, wait, why did MSK have to relinquish the titles? And why is Wesley now a singles competitor? I'm pretty sure a bunch of people that don't follow any of this like outside stuff and just watch the programming are like, what the hell is happening? Because on TV, they didn't really explain anything. They basically just said it's been a hard couple of weeks for Wesley. He was forced to relinquish the tag team titles, and now he's going off about things on his own, although it's not his fault. That was what they said on commentary during his match against Zion Quinn. But prior to this, they interviewed him, and, he's out there in his Performance Center t-shirt, and he's basically saying that, the last couple of weeks have felt chaotic, that he feels lost, and, he ends up making this match with Zion Quinn. Okay, great. This was weird. It was a little bit weird because we've seen so much character development for MSK, like so much character development for MSK. And for now to that be taken away, and now he sort of has to like re-find himself on the NXT 2.0 roster, I think that we can definitely say that this situation definitely sucks for Wesley, because he now through situation that was out of his control ended up impacting his own career, which I can only imagine very much sucks for him. So I do feel bad for Wesley, and considering that he like lost in what was like practically a squash match against Zion Quinn, it's not looking too good right now for Wesley. It's not looking too good. I hope that they don't just like leave him there roaming on the roster, floating around, trying to find a good spot on the show. I hope that they actually do something with him, because at the end of the day, it's not his fault, everything that went down that was outside of his control. So I do feel bad for Wesley in this situation here, guys. All right, so let's go ahead and see what people are saying. Zeno Hour says the Wesley segment was a little awkward. Yeah, I don't know, guys. I feel really, really bad. And let's see what else we got here. Let's see. This is from, oh, we got some nice comments about Roxy. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right. Major Blood says, I hope they do something with Wesley, but it might take a bit of time to figure out where he fits in. Yeah, I think so too. But it was definitely not a good sign just having him lose today to Zion Quinn. It was definitely not a good sign there. And YT says they should have Riddle come team with Wesley. He needs a shaman. I mean, given that Riddle's supposed to be having their back, I don't know about coming into team with him, but he's technically was having his and MSK's back. So maybe he could come in, give him some advice. I think that would be nice. All right, let's move on here. So, after this, we got Carmelo Hayes versus Santos Escobar. This was a really, I really like this match. This was probably the best match of the entire night. We got, right off the bat, we got a nice drop kick, enziguri, crossbody from Santos Escobar. We saw, Carmelo Hayes hit some of his, high-flying spots, all of that. We go to commercial break. We come back from commercial break. There's a sequence in which we see Santos hit a pump kick. From there, he does a dive onto the outside to Carmelo Hayes. And this match is pretty much, going back and forth. It's picking up. It's pretty good. And we kind of get like a, finish that is not, considering that we have a lot of these DQ finishes, these interference finishes, all of these, different types of ways that we've been finishing these matches, and it's kind of getting a little old. I will say this, I did like the way that things turned out here tonight, because we ended up seeing two guys come in and they attack Santos Escobar. They take him out. I believe it was with a crowbar. They hit him on the leg and they essentially take him out. The one thing that kind of sucked though was because at first the broadcast, it looks like the referee, it wasn't until the replay that we knew why the referee had not seen the attack, because he was being distracted by Trick Williams, who was pretending like he was handing a chair to Carmelo Hayes, and that was distracting the referee. They didn't show that or make that very clear before the replay. So I'm thinking wait, what? The referee totally missed that? But it wasn't until the replay where they actually showed that portion of that. So I did like how this ended up happening, because we already know that they're moving on with Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar, and they're doing their whole storyline with them. So I think that's been shaping up, because that's been shaping up in my eyes. And I'm liking how this is going, because you've got two guys, Tony D'Angelo and Santos Escobar, that come from different mentalities and backgrounds and all of that, but they both are the type of people that are not going to back down. So I will say I was a huge fan of how this ended up playing out, even though I do think they could have had an actual finish. We get it. They're moving the story along with Santos Escobar and Tony D'Angelo. So it's fine. And let's go ahead and move on from here. So let's get into, let's see. After this, we got our post-match. We got Carmelo Hayes coming out and basically saying that he's going to retain, that he's going to get back his title from Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes comes out and interrupts him. And then after this, we get Solo Sikoa. He comes in and he confronts Cameron Grimes. And they did announce that in 2 weeks at Spring Break, we are going to be getting a triple threat match. Cameron Grimes, Solo Sikoa, and Carmelo Hayes. So I think that's going to be a pretty darn good match here. I should also mention that Tony D'Angelo did deny that those two guys were his guys. He denied it, even though they were practically dressed like him. All right, moving on from here. Let's get into let's see. I've already talked about Braun Breaker and the mirrors. After this, we get a match between Natalya and Tatum Paxley. This was fun. This was a good little match. This was Natalya literally going out there and having fun, beating the crap out of Tatum. I thought that was really good, but Tatum kind of holding her own made her look good. Natalya came out, man. She did her job. She helped out Tatum out there. She made her look like so much better. She ended up losing. She tapped out to the sharpshooter, but I still thought this was probably one of the recent better matches that we've gotten for the women on NXT 2.0. And obviously, that's one of the benefits of having Natalya on the show. So I was a huge fan of that. After this, they announced that Nathan Frazier will be debuting next week. From NXT UK, high flyer, excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. I'm not familiar with his work on NXT UK, so he's going to be completely new to me. Alrighty, everybody. Before I move on from this, because we got a couple more things to talk about, but before I move on, I just want to remind you guys all once again that tomorrow I will be back here for AEW Dynamite coverage, and then Friday I will be back once again for Rampage and Smackdown. And the Friday shows have surprisingly been they've been busy shows. I don't know how else to explain it. They've been busy shows. But now let's get into Roxanne Perez versus Jacy Jayne. So earlier, we were talking about how Roxanne, former Roxy, I keep wanting to call her Roxy, but Roxanne, she was confronted by Toxic Attraction during that promo that she was doing with Mackenzie Mitchell. So this ended up being a match between Roxanne and Jacy Jayne. So instead of her debut happening next week, it essentially ended up happening this week, which I kind of like that. I kind of like that they promoted it as it's going to happen next week, but because Toxic Attraction called her out, she was like, screw it, let's go right now. I thought that kind of made it so much better, because one of the things that I've been talking about when it comes to WWE is that I like when there's this like element of surprise where anything can happen. And so this was something that I kind of felt like, oh, we don't have to stick to what was promoted. Anything can happen. Here, we're randomly going to be getting her in-ring debut on NXT. So I did like that they did that. We got a super chat from Cameron Mumford. Thank you so much to Cameron, who says, I don't care. She'll always be Roxy to me. WWE has no idea how fortunate they are signing her. Her being a major star is more than an understatement. Please, for the love of God, don't mess this up. So far, okay, so let's actually talk about this match then. So Roxanne and Jacy Jayne here. Roxanne ended up winning by distraction. Wendy Chu popped up on the screen, and that caused a distraction. So they kind of did like they went with the, oh, this was an upset. Like Roxanne defeating Jacy Jayne was an upset. I didn't love the whole upset finish, or like the whole like making this an upset. Why? Because they already recently did this with Cora Jade. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to see the exact same thing. Plus, given that you already made her debut today, instead of a week before, I want them to like, they have to, like, there's certain people that I feel should be treated a little bit differently in terms of how you're planning on pushing them and whatnot. And I think that if they would have given Roxanne like this clean finish, it would have been like a surprise, right? But I think it would have just done more. It would have instantly put her on the map, especially for people who may not be as familiar with her. So I think they could have instantly put her on the map by giving her this clean finish. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, I get that they wanted you to protect Jacy Jayne. You know, at the end of the day, you know, she's part of like their biggest, you know, their big stable on NXT, their biggest attraction, Toxic Attraction. So I get all of that. But either way, she ended up getting a win. Good for her. I'm excited to see what she does in the business. Let's see. After this, thank you so much, by the way, to Cameron Mumford for the very kind super chat. All right. So after this, we got some matches announced for next week. We are going to be getting Nikita Lyons, everybody's favorite, against Lash Legend. Then we're going to be getting a 6-person tag, Briggs and Jensen and Fallon against Legado de Fantasma and Elektra Lopez. So that should be really fun. Sella Sikoa versus Trick Williams. And then again, they announced the spring break match, which is going to be that triple threat, Cameron, Solo, and Carmelo Hayes. So that should be a good one for the NXT North American Championship. Alrighty. Here we go. Main event time. Really good main event. NXT tag team titles on the line. Pretty Deadly versus Duke and Dexter, which they're a new team, so they really didn't, quite frankly, deserve a title shot. But whatever. It gives Pretty Deadly a simple and easy victory. Right after this, we go into the closing of the show, which was Joe Gacy coming out. And at first I thought that he was in the ring, but from the looks of it, he was like on a platform. Anyway, so he comes out and he says, like, you know what? I'm easy to find. Braun Breaker's music hits. He comes out. He gets in the face of Joe Gacy. And Joe Gacy is like, oh, you should take a leap of faith, and pushes him. And Braun Breaker just falls. It was not impressive for Braun Breaker. I think I'm sticking to my earlier opinions about how I feel about the booking of Braun Breaker. They're just not making him look tough at all. So I hope that they quickly get him looking good once again, because this ain't it. This ain't it for Braun Breaker. And I feel like you gotta make up for like him losing the title to Dolph Ziggler and him winning it back. They gotta make up for it. And the only way to do so is making him look a lot better in this program with Joe Gacy. But we'll see what happens. Let's get some thoughts in on here. Zeno Hour says, surprising how fun this match was. And he's talking about the tag team match here. A lot better, considering a lot of what we've been seeing from Dexter and Duke hasn't necessarily been the greatest. But yeah. And let's go ahead and see what else we got. This is from Major Blood, who says, honestly, it makes sense for a name change if you're first coming in, but they're changing names of people who have held titles in their own company. Yeah, with the name changes, guys, apparently, a memo was sent out. They don't want people with their, real names and all of that. But I think it's more of just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like on a whim. I feel like this is a new thing, and they're just really, really pushing it, because we're getting so many new name changes, like so many. But it is what it is. As long as we're not getting Gunther Starks, I guess it's not going, or a Butch. I guess it's not going to be too bad. Alrighty, guys. And I think that's about it, everybody. Zeno Hour says, Denise, can you give us your best? Yes, boy. Yes, boy. Okay, that was really terrible. Sorry. I was caught off guard here. Alrighty, everybody. That was our NXT 2.0 recap for today. I will see you guys back here tomorrow for AEW Dynamite. Other than that, thank you guys so much for joining me. Do not forget to give this video a like, subscribe to F4W Online if you haven't already. We are on our way to 100,000 subscribers, so make sure that you guys click that subscribe button. Until next time, I'm Denise Salcedo, and I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.